Minister, this government speaks out of both sides of its mouth when it comes to the issue of Palestine. With one breath, it states that it stands with the people of Palestine against the crimes that Israel inflicts on them, promises sanctions, and with the other breath reassures your friends in the White House that you're going to do nothing at all, and the consequence of that is, despite promises for 10 years, or near enough 10 years, on the Occupied Territories Bill, you still haven't passed it. It's bad enough that since 2018 you refused to pass this bill to impose sanctions on Israel for the illegal settlements in the West Bank, but after 2 years of a genocidal massacre, the fact that you still refuse to pass this bill, having made solemn promises in the recent general election that you would pass it, and are seeking to dilute it by leaving out services from the bill, is an absolute disgrace. There is simply no justification for it. I hope the fact that the minister, the new minister, not being here isn't some sign of more sort of disrespectful attitude towards this bill and taking the issue seriously. As our motion sets out, there's simply no excuses left for this government. Politically, you promised the Irish people you would pass the Occupied Territories Bill, with no mention of leaving services out or anything else. You made a promise, you should keep that promise. The Joint Oireachtas Committee, including Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael members, have recommended that the Occupied Territories Bill is passed, and you got clear legal advice from the Attorney General, from legal advice to the Joint Oireachtas Committee, that there is no difficulty legally with including services in the Occupied Territories Bill and the ban on the importation of goods from the Occupied Territories. The government itself has stated that the International Court of Justice advisory opinion is an authoritative statement on international law, and that it requires all EU member states to prevent the importation of goods from occupied territories. But of course, this government still refuses to do it, even when other governments in Europe have now done it. Slovenia is imposing sanctions, and all now have passed bills imposing sanctions on Israel in terms of the occupied territories. But still, this government, that I don't know how many times I've heard come in here and claim that they are, if you like, the most pro-Palestinian voice in the EU, still refuses to do it. And of course, the double standards and contrast with what we heard last night in the statements on Ukraine is so blatant, it's really outrageous. Rightly, the government condemns Vladimir Putin for an imperialist invasion of Ukraine. And what was the response of this government to that invasion? Instantaneous sanctions. And 19 rounds of sanctions imposed on Putin for what is and was a bloody, brutal and unjustifiable invasion in Ukraine. But in the case of Palestine, 2 years of a genocidal massacre, 17 years of a criminal siege on Gaza, decades of ethnic cleansing, 700,000 illegal settlements on the West Bank, an apartheid system, denial of the right to return, ethnic cleansing on an ongoing basis, not a single sanction. It's shameful, Minister. So stop dancing to the tune of Donald Trump and the White House, the enablers of the genocide in Palestine. Do what you promised the Irish people. Do what's right for the Palestinians, for humanity. If you have any respect for international law, for human rights, pass the Occupied Territories Bill, which, by the way, is only the minimal sanction that should be imposed on this regime. Let's be clear, all the Occupied Territories Bill does is impose a ban on the importation of goods from the illegal settlements. In our view, and I'm absolutely clear about this, we should be going a lot further than that. There should be a complete boycott, divestment and sanctions from this criminal regime. A regime that is capable of genocide has no place in a civilised world. This bill doesn't even address the issue of the right to return or the apartheid system, the criminal siege of Gaza. It is a minimal sanction in line with your international legal obligations. Do what you said you'd do, pass this bill and finally impose sanctions on this criminal regime.
Thanks, Deputy Murphy. Thanks.